Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Got a few updates here on some of the projects I've been up to and some upgrades on old Herbie. So I went through and buffed out the old S-dime, took the bug guard off the front, buffed it and waxed it. I didn't wax the top, and this is all a bunch of ash and whatnot from all the fires that are going on right now. I already blew it off today. But I was trying to do some vinyl wrap on the roof of this cab, and hands up and A+ to all those guys that can do the vinyl wrapping for a living. What a pain in the ass. So what I'm going to be doing on this truck, I don't know if I'm going to find someone to do the vinyl wrap for me, pay for somebody to do it, or end up just painting it, which I could have had this whole thing sanded down and masked out and put in primer, and half the time it took me, I was like 5 hours on that damn vinyl wrap. But anyways, I was going to be doing the top of the cab white and have it cut off right around here, so that way it would match my old man's truck. He's got a 67 Chev, and it's two-tone blue with a white roof. So I got it all laid out. It was 3M product, got all the air bubbles out, and I put knifeless tape along this seam right here. And I was going to do the top one piece, this seam cover one piece, and then the corner of the cab as one piece. Well, that knifeless tape, I don't know if I did it wrong or what, but I went to go pull it on the other side over there, and it ripped the vinyl up into the paint here. So ripped it all off and said heck with it. I had enough. Did it twice, but you know, it was worth a shot. It was starting to look out good. You know, it was my first time doing it, so not too bad. But yeah, not too bad for an old 96. It's got the 4.3 5-speed 2-wheel drive. Picked up a little tonneau cover from the junkyard. And this thing, it'll be getting a different fuel injection system on it someday, but get rid of the factory. Go with throttle body injected. I either have Holly Sniper or Quick Fuel I'll be going with, so there'll be some updates on this in the next few years whenever I get around to doing that one. And I'll be turbocharging the 4.3 and run that out until it goes kaboom, and then putting a small block in this little sucker, so that'll be fun. But anyways, I moved around some stuff in the garage today. Moved Sarah's bug, tucked it back there, and piled a bunch of shit around it. You know, it's bad when they become shelves, but anyhow, we'll be getting back on her bug soon enough. So I got old Herbie sitting out here, and yeah, got it right in the middle. I'm gonna put the quick jacks underneath it here, maybe in the next couple days, and raise it up off the ground and start tearing her down. So the few upgrades I'm going to be doing is I got a new gas tank here. It's one of those 12.5 gallon units, and there was nothing really wrong with my gas tank, but what I'm going to be doing as far as an upgrade for the Phytech is I bought one of these here. It's one of those universal in-tank fuel pumps. So it's got the big hydromat or whatever they want to call it. And then this drops down into the tank. You got a feed and a return. Then you can adjust where the pump sits. And then it's got a slick little ring that goes up underneath. You can kind of see it there. Put the bolts in it, have that come up from the bottom, and then the foam smushes down. So on this, I can't remember, I think the fuel sending unit moved back and forth like that. So I'm probably going to have to offset the pump somewhere over to this side. I'm going to make it really close to the sending unit, but I don't want it to get in the way of the sending unit either. So another reason why I'm doing some of the upgrades, I have to pull all my air ride stuff out of the trunk to go through all this stuff and change it around. So I figured might as well do some upgrades. It's pretty hectic in here. I used to have a fiberglass cover, but one of the big things I'm going to be doing is on one of the ports back here. From the factory, the well didn't have any penetration. There's always been a small leak. So that is going to change. And then, let's see, where is that solenoid at? Alright, so this little 12 volt solenoid, I got a few more of those. I'm going to have to remake all this too because the tank's going to be sitting higher. I might get lucky and just be able to pull this board off. And I have had a lot of people say, oh, you need to make that out of metal. You know what? Here's some metal for you. A little bracket. I haven't even ground it down yet. It was a hit and run, get it done when I got this sucker put together. But the wood's been holding up great. Looks like I need a new vibration washer there. No big. So this was the current automatic ride height that I had on this thing before. So I'd have air going to that solenoid. I'd turn the solenoid on, and that would tee off 4 ways, go to the regulators, and then the regulators would tee in to the gauge port. So whatever I had these things set to, it would air up and come up to the pressure that I had it set to. Well, that was fine if you were the only person in the car and you made or you kept a full tank. But as soon as you added a passenger or the tank was half low, it would sit different than what you had it set by. So one of the upgrades I'm going to be doing on this thing is I'm getting rid of those regulators. And I ended up getting 4 of these. These are for a semi. They're ride height control valves. So I'm doing a setup kind of like that AccuAir E-Level thing, but it'll be mechanical versus electric. So save me some money. Those valves I think were 20 bucks a piece or 18 a piece. And then I was looking up you know, the rod ends for carburetor linkage, kind of like I have let's see if I can get this gimbal thing to work. Still learning how to use this. Kind of like those carb ball ends right here. Well, it was going to cost me like, I can't remember, I think it was 40 bucks for 2 of them. So I'd need 2 per axle, and this was 35 bucks for a pair of these. And they're way heavy duty. They're tie rod ends for a quad. So you really don't need anything this heavy, but for the price, I'll go this route any day of the week. Save a few bucks, and I'd still have to buy the rod for the other carburetor ball ends. So what's cool about these is basically, see if I can do this while holding this, when the car is sitting low, it'll be like that, and once you put air to that solenoid I have up there, then it will raise the car up till it sits level right in the middle. So I'll have to adjust the rods and shorten them, guaranteed. Make a bracket for those to bolt to the chassis, but then it will adjust air until it sits level, so it'll be a set ride height versus off of pressure. Then, of course, if it fills up too much, then it will release air until it sits back to level. The cool thing about these is they have a 7-second delay built into them. So when you're going down the road and it's cycling all over the place, it's not adding air and removing air, so on and so forth, wasting compressor life and wearing out or just using up your air, you know what I mean? So the motor's going to be torn apart, not for any particular reason. The only main thing is to reseal it, but I want to inspect everything. I can't remember, I have like 4,000 miles or 3,500 on this, and it's been driven hard since maybe 70 miles, so it'll be interesting to see how everything looks. This is the first engine I blueprinted as best as I could by myself, not knowing how to do it. So yeah, it's been a fun little motor build, and it'll get torn down. We'll have to put you on video for that. Man, that thing's buck nasty filthy. Man, I almost forgot another upgrade I'm doing. I'm adding a oil cooler to the setup. This was 148 bucks, I believe, off of Amazon. Fairly small oil cooler. I think it's a 10.5 by 10 with a Spall electric fan with the shroud that just will go over the top of that. So I got that, and I also bought a thermostatic regulator, I believe it's called. It allows the oil, it'll be coming off of the oil filter, then to that that thermostat, and basically what it'll do is allow the oil to bypass the oil cooler I'm adding until it hits 180 degrees, and then it will start circulating through the oil cooler. And I got a switch for the fan to come on at 200, so that should help keep some longevity in this sucker, because it was getting fairly warm. But I think this oil cooler is really going to help this thing stay alive. So we got those few upgrades in the trunk, and then what's happening back here is spent a little bit of money. Oh, before I show you that, on this, it will get painted eventually. One thing I kind of want to figure out is, I already made some relief cuts in here and bent it down so that way it would follow the contour of the body. Well, then you have this whole section of it twanged way the hell out, and obviously fiberglass is going to have to be filled to get that gap down, but it's like it would just be going flat down. It would look kind of goofy, I think. So I don't know if I'll leave that just for extra airflow. I'm definitely going to make it so it has pins where this slides up into, because right now it just has one piece underneath, which I'll show you once I take it off, right up here where it sandwiches this upper lip in between this part of the body and that bracket. So I don't know. It is a race deck lid. You know, it's really super light. I fiberglass that. That's not a striker plate, but that part of the hood latch. So that way it goes into there. But what's getting changed around back here is all the suspension. So all this air ride that I built before, it's got, I'd really have to look, well over 10,000 miles, and it's worked, but I've never liked the amount of flex in this bracket out here. It's because the airbag's too far forward past this past this bracket back here, and I added this, which you're not supposed to put anything off of the axle tube, but this is all getting changed out, and I picked up a kit from Eva Resto. They're out of the UK. They make a really sweet bolt-in air ride kit. So I'm I bought a trans raise off of them as well. So this piece that I made back here with the down rods, that's all getting replaced. And then I'll have to make a new front mount. But it'll be nice once it's all apart. Put in that real nicely built units. If you guys haven't checked out Eva Resto, go check them out, because they make some really sweet stuff. I believe it's only one guy there doing it all himself. But yeah, do a little upgrade. They're fairly affordable for the kits, and it's something that's actually engineered versus me doing Chinese blueprints. And it was my first time, you know. I'm glad I made them, but they'll be sitting on the shelf for a different rig. But for this car, we're putting a little bit of money into it. And then I have to figure out why this body has I don't know, it hasn't gotten in an accident by any means, but I don't know if one of these brackets, one of the other bolts in the back came loose and it's causing the back of the body to go and bind, or if it's just where I had to beat it out to clear the header. Yeah, she's a little rough around the edges, you know. It's a good driver. There's that bracket I was talking about for the deck lid that just holds it up against. Not the best thing to do, but it's gotten me by for sure. Don't want to be leaving that thing out in the elements. That was a little plexiglass rain deflector I slapped together for underneath the scoop, so that way it wouldn't get rain on the engine. But yeah, that's a few of the projects. My line lock solenoid, which I haven't even wired in. I plumbed it when I did the disc brakes. That started leaking, so I got a new line lock solenoid. That's going to be going on, and then bleeding the brakes, of course. But yeah, ain't no thing but a chicken wing. So I'll have to figure out something else for the rear bump stops as well. I cut the bump stops off the frame, so that way the spring plate would clear it. Well, I never even had to do that. Should have put a tire on the axle and brought it all the way up first, but you live and you learn. So right now I have the minimum ride height set by my shock travel, and this setup is totally different. So I'm going to have to make some kind of bump stops for this thing. I also picked up 4 seat belts, so that way I can put Noah in here with his car seat, so he can be experiencing riding around in Herbie. So who knows how long it'll take me. Hopefully I'll be driving it by next summer. If not, that's all right. It's nice to be able to take my time and do things right, not have to rush things, and having the space to do it. So gotta be grateful for the good things that happen to you in life. But anyways, this video is getting a little on the long side for a shop update. But anyways, everybody, thanks for watching, and thanks for subbing. We'll be catching you guys on the flip side.